Good evening. It is Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I'm Mike Ungerman. I'm the Special Interest Group leader of the Linux SIG here in Orlando, Florida. And we have a nationwide audience with us tonight. A couple people from the local area and a couple spread all over the place. And tonight, we are going to do pretty much our agenda in this sequence. We're in the informal discussion right now. A quick review of what we've done in the SIG since we started. I'm going to start a feature of each one of our SIG meetings featuring a utility of the month, which we'll do. And then we're going to talk about maintaining our Linux installation. And when I had the concept of doing this, I figured what you'll see on the following screens that we could probably cover this in an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then I started putting this together and realized, well, it might take a couple of meetings to get everything in. So if I don't cover everything tonight, I don't want to rush through it. There's really no reason to rush. And if we need to drill down, answer questions as we go, whatever, we'll just pick up next month with the things we missed tonight. But we'll have a little Q&A. I'll talk about some resources, and then we'll talk about topics for upcoming meetings. Before we get going, one of the things that came up during the CFCS Windows SIG on Sunday was that people were having trouble seeing Huey Poplock's screen, especially down in his taskbar. So I'm going to just with this window, unless it's on a Windows computer, I'm just going to bring up my taskbar. So now you should see my entire screen. I'm not in the slideshow at the moment. So I've got a 24-inch screen here, and you should see my little Clipmate behind it, and you should see my task icons all the way over in the corners, the time and date on the right side lower, and left side lower it's got the start icon for Microsoft. And up at the top, possibly I have a dialog from Zoom that says you are screen sharing, and I'm not sure if that is actually going to put a dark bar on your screen or not. But can you, if you all choose to, you can decide what you want to do as far as the additional display of people that are in the group. But can you all see that screen from top to bottom and left to right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. One of the
Yes,
things
go here, Mike.
Okay. One of the things I did learn Sunday is that if I choose, let's see, where is it? Let me just say, got it here, and let me bring up, I'm going to go get my video here on the Linux machine a second. If I did choose view and then side-by-side speaker, if you want to try that, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see view and then side-by-side speaker. What you'll get is 2/3 of the screen with a smaller representation of the screen I'm sharing. And then 1/3 of the screen will have your video choice. And if you've selected speaker, then you'll see me talking. And if you select, let's see what else I've got on view here. You can do side-by-side gallery. And then if we're interactively discussing what's on that screen and you want to actually see the other people talking at the time that we're pointing to it or asking questions about it, you can look at side-by-side gallery. Otherwise, view and standard will put the display of the other people in the conference above the full screen. So it's up to you how you actually see what we are displaying. And let me since I'm going to be sharing this screen here in a moment, let me just go ahead and okay. Minimize that. All right, I minimized it, and I'm going to take this out and just test before we go into this. I'm going to stop sharing the screen of my Windows computer. And instead of seeing the video from my cell phone, I'm going to share the screen of the Linux computer, which I guess I have to do it this way. Share screen. Host, disabled participant screen sharing. Aha, I did not make us co-hosts. Shame on me. So hang on while I do that with participants. I want Mike Ungerman Linux, more, make co-host. Yes. Okay, and close the participants. I should now be able to share this screen. Okay. And of course, you got the black bars. So once again, I have got to see what we do with this. I got to minimize that. Get it up and out of the way. Why am I seeing? Oh, and I'm seeing the screen sharing on this too. All right. Okay, so Tim, have you figured out how to get rid of those black bars when you're sharing the screen of the computer that you're putting on this?
A lot of those black bars seem persistent, and I haven't seen a way of getting rid of them.
I'm going to try what I looked up the other day, which was control backspace, which is supposed to be a command to make it go away, but it doesn't always react to it. And it's sort of a, okay. Yeah. All right, I don't think it's going to interfere with anything. I am going to resolve that problem because it just bugs me. And for the moment, I'm going to stop screen sharing the cell phone. So, or I'm going to stop video on their cell phone. So let me do that. Stop video. Okay. So that doesn't distract us. Any other comments about Zoom settings? Okay, so we will go back. Stop share. Okay, we will go back to sharing on the other computer. Okay. So Clipit Clipboard Manager for Linux. I'm going to just move this presentation out of the way a little bit. I have a few other presentations to show. But you'll see on this particular Windows computer, I have an application that I've used for years and years and years and years called Clipmate. And Clipmate lets you keep a history of things that you have copied to your clipboard. And you can see in this particular folder, this will roll over. The oldest will drop off the top and the newest will go in on the bottom. And I'm all the time grabbing, like tonight, I was grabbing an address from an email and pasting it into a post office label kind of thing. So this was the address I needed to pull up, and I just pulled it up and then dropped it in as needed. And I would get a YouTube video to share or something like that. And in an email I sent to Tim earlier, I was talking about an alternative to OpenDNS, which was Cloudflare. And I went to their website and picked up their address and then dropped it into the email. So being familiar with this, I really wanted to have something similar for Linux. And there are a number of different applications that are out there. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's just minimize that. Back to this guy. Okay, so let me now come back to sharing the screen of the Linux computer. Stop sharing. That I need a production team to change my views. And back to the Linux computer. Share. And then we will take a look. I do not have Clipit installed, which normally would be in the panel down here. So let's go to the software manager and let's see if Clipit is available to install. And it is. It looks like it's Cyrillic. It's either Cyrillic or Greek. No, it's Greek. That's a Greek letter. So it looks like this was created by a Greek author. Anyway, got 4.3 stars, so we'll stick it in. I've been playing with it now on my other Linux computers. Seems to be working good. Oh, what's my password? Installing. Okay, it's there. And this one, I don't feel I need to have the icon up here. And a lot of people, I know John Kennedy doesn't like icons at all. Let's see who wants, oh, looks like we lost Sean. He wants to come back in. Okay. Okay, so make sure that I am sharing. Yep, I am sharing that screen. Okay, so now we'll find it on the menu. And I'm going to put it on the panel, which is where I would most likely want to start it. And there it is down here at the bottom on the panel. And when it runs, if you tell it to run at startup, it'll wind up being over here in the alerts area so that you can get to it right away. So let's just go ahead and open it. And you can see already it brought the alerts up. I guess it's not going to give me a full screen. I guess I got to go to the alert. Okay, let's go there. All right. And let's go to preferences. Now we get a dialog box. So you can choose what your selection command is to send. And it's typically is a Control-C. You can also do a right click on something and say copy. I do want it to save URLs, so it does that. I have not played with some of these other options. I probably do want to confirm before clearing history. History. Okay, so how many items do you want in history? Right now on my other computers, I've kicked it up to about 500. The maximum is 1,000. And then what you can do, if I see it here, is it's going to tell me where to get rid of it in the middle. Purge history, timeout, show us a single line. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Omit items in the middle. So I didn't really understand that when I first saw it. Apparently what it does is when you reach, say, this 50, and then you put another item in, an item in the middle will drop out, but your oldest will stay and your newest will stay. And I guess that's on the basis that the oldest might be the most important to you, but the newest has been the most recent. You don't want it to go away. So I'm not quite sure yet whether I want it to take the oldest, drop the oldest off, and then just keep the newest up at the top, which is very much how Clipmate works. But I'll leave it in the default. And if you decide to use this, you can play with it. Apparently you can create some action keys, and I haven't figured that out yet. So I'm not, at the moment, I don't seem to need it, but I will leave that to anyone that wants to play with it and report back. And then you can actually put some security on it. So if in fact there are passwords and things like that that you might inadvertently copy and not want to show up in your history, apparently you can put some exclusion things in. And you can bring up the history with some of these hotkeys. You can bring up the menu. Again, I don't use hotkeys that much either. So I'm just pretty much taking the default. So let's try an example. I'm going to open up. Let's see, what are we using here for this? Okay, I'm using Brave to browse. So let's just open up Brave. And let's go to, let's try. And let's just hit a local news. And let's go to their video. I'll stop it. Okay, so this might be a video that I want to save. I can right click on it and I can copy, or I could do Control-C. And now if I go down and I check my clipboard history, you can see here is, oh, they want me to do that. All right. Okay, so that's now on my clipboard. And then if I sent an email to my son, I could just pull it off. So let's just see that. In fact, the next one goes below it. Catch the weather. And there's the weather. So it's going to keep the oldest at the top and then keep adding below it. And I can reverse that. I can put the newest at the top if I want. So it's up to you which sequence you would like to actually have that happen. And you can do the same within a document. You can cut and paste. There may be a phrase or a paragraph that you want to use over and over, and you can move things around with that and then go back and retrieve it. So comments from the audience? What do you think? This is a useful utility? You can unmute and make a comment if you like.
Seems pretty neat. I've never used one of those clipboard managers before. So I like the fact that it lets you say that you don't want it to save things like passwords. You can put exclusions in there. That's the only thing that I would be concerned about, is that if I copy a password to paste it into something, which I periodically have to do, even though I have a password manager, I'm concerned that it would save that inside of there. That does, Mike, does this synchronize to other computers, or is just for this computer?
At the moment, it's this computer. And Sean knows that, if I can tell from the wallpaper behind me, that's the Synology Disk Station default wallpaper for their 7th version of their software. I just installed a Synology file server a couple weeks ago, and we're still playing it, and Sean's got one too. So if I can figure out where the default is that it is saving its data, might be a way to redirect that so that it's saving it to a common folder on the Synology, and then it would be available to my other computers. I don't know.
Yeah, in Windows, I use a program called Excel Shareboard, which is a clipboard manager, but it goes across the network. So if I copy something in machine number 1, I can go to any one of my other computers and take it from there, and it's sitting there waiting for me to use. It's really handy. I use it all the time. It would be nice to add that to a Linux machine.
Alrighty, well, I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it gives us the opportunity to see that there are equivalent programs available. All right, so we'll stop share for the moment and switch share. Guess I need a nice toggle to toggle back and forth between my shares. Okay, so the lion's share tonight is maintaining Linux Mint. And we all know with a Windows computer, we got lots of things to do to maintain it. And so my natural curiosity, once I got Linux up and running, was how do I maintain my Linux Mint? Now, sitting to my left, not in the conference at the moment, is a Hewlett Packard desktop that's about 10 or 12 years old and was at one time my main computer till I built one. And when I decided, well, what am I going to do with this thing? My son didn't want it. My close friends here didn't want it. And I said, well, all right, I'll put Linux on it. So Linux Mint has been on that for a long time. And I will admit, I haven't backed it up because all I use it for maybe is watching some YouTube videos. Very rarely is there any data stored on it of any sort. It's just there for another screen in the office. So I haven't been backing it up at all. And every now and then I'll get a notice that there's an update here for the Linux distro and software, and I may update it, I may not. And I don't think I've ever uninstalled anything that I had installed and tried out, and nor have I tried to clean it up of, temporary files and cache and all the rest of it. It's just sitting there running, and it's never had a problem, and I never maintained it and never backed it up. But these are the things that if you've got a computer and you're going to use it, very first one list is you got to back it up. And there's a lot of emphasis on backup in computer user groups. John Kennedy has done an excellent job in the Wednesday Linux workshops. And I've got that in some of the resources further down. I think it's his number 8 has got an excellent video, and he's even covered some backup apps that I wasn't aware of it. So backing a computer up, I think, is very important. And if even at the very beginning in your trials to set up a Linux computer for the very first time, if you're successful in patting yourself on your back, and then the next thing you do causes it to crash or delete something or messes it up, or you're just really not sure, do you really want to start over from scratch? So in my opinion, this is the first utility that people should look at once they have their computer set up and it's ready to go. And keep that backup somewhere where you can get to it, that it doesn't get overwritten by a later backup. And if you had to, you could restore your computer back to your factory specifications, not the factory specifications that came with the computer when it came. So let's talk a little bit about backup and what comes with it. So I'm going to switch back. Let's see here. Well, we'll talk about it. All right, to start with, Timeshift is included as one of the programs in Linux Mint. And in my search on the internet, and this link is a hot link as I will be sharing this presentation after the meeting's over. So you can come take a look at it, and they actually walk you through a number of different ways to set Timeshift up. But essentially, it is a file copy utility. and it's using the terminal command rsync and then linking it with commands and I guess internal scripts so that it can find out, well, what's unchanged from your previous snapshots so you don't save it again, and then just save the differences. And it says each snapshot is a full system backup. So it's going to get the updates that you have made to the operating system. It's going to get any documents that you save or that you write or modified. And it says it can be saved to any disk formatted with a Linux file system. When I first saw that, I didn't pay too much attention to it, and I just jumped right in, stuck an external hard drive on, tried Timeshift, and it says, no, you can't do this. This is not a Linux disk, Linux system. So it wants your ext4, 3, whatever, Linux file system to save to. So that means you need a dedicated device to say, all right, I'm going to have a device that I'm going to dedicate only for Timeshift, at least for the moment. And I did try a couple different things. I've got an external hard drive. Let's see here. If I stop share for just a moment. Okay, so I have a little case. Okay, this is just a little case. I don't even know what I paid for it. You know, it's less than $20. And the top comes out, and inside it is an extra laptop type hard drive that I had. And I think this is 80 gigabytes. Pretty sure it's 80. And I wasn't doing it. It was in my parts drawer. So I'm sure Tim would appreciate that. He's a parts drawer guy, kind of guy. So I just stuck this in, attached it with a USB cable, stuck it on the Linux computer, formatted it in ext4, and then I played with it for Timeshift. The other thing I did, get into this guy, is I have an SD card that from whatever use I had for a 32 gigabyte SD card came with an adapter. I wasn't using it for anything. It was in one of my drawers. And the front of the Lenovo notebook has a nice SD card, full-size slot. So I stuck that in there. I took a look at it. It was formatted in MS-DOS. And I said, okay, then I've got to set this up as a Linux file system. I went ahead and got GParted, or no, I used disks. Okay, I used disks, brought disks up. I saw that, you know, it was a fat partition. So went to the 3-dot menu, format disk, gave it a name, SD32, told it to make it an internal ext4. And you can see after the formatting worked, you wound up with a 32 gigabyte partition. Now, that's not going to handle a big computer, at least not at 32, but you know, they got these things up to 128 gigabytes now, and we're still at reasonable prices. But for this installation, the Lenovo computer we're using right now has very little on it besides the operating system. So I went ahead and let's see, this is showing the properties, you know, the capacity actually winds up with 29 gigabytes free. And I'm going to switch over and look at it. Aha, I forgot to share my screen, didn't I? You guys didn't see that? All right.
I tried to interrupt you to asking whether you were planning on sharing the screen.
Thank you. We got on a roll. All right. I'll just briefly then, I'm not going to narrate the whole thing. I will just briefly go through it. Sorry, that does happen. Okay, so. All right, I went through formatting. There's the card. There it's plugged into the Linux computer. There it is with the normal FAT installation. There it is in the disks program. The drop-down menu that says to format disk. I just gave it a name, said choose ext4. This is the results after it's finished formatting, 32 gigabytes. This is another look at it just to see the properties. Shows it's got 29 gigabytes free. And catch me again, be insistent. Sorry. Okay, so let's actually go look at what I did to set this up on the Linux computer. Share screen. And I'm going to go to my files. And here's the SD card. And you can see that the Timeshift program did in fact create a Timeshift folder. I'll bring that up here in a minute. I did put it on the desktop. And you can see this I'll talk about later. So this is, and I told it to go ahead and make several different kinds of snapshots. Told it to make a boot snapshot, a daily snapshot, an hourly snapshot, a monthly snapshot, and on demand, which I did the first time, and to do it weekly. So this gives you an idea of what will wind up on here. And if I go and look at properties on this now, let's see, when was this first run? So it was, oh, okay. So this is actually running, this is running automatically right now. So it looks like Sunday was the first day that I did a manual run on it. So let's close that and just go to the drive again. Let's see here, go to the, and right click, properties. Okay, so we had, we've used quite a bit of it. So if I was truly going to make this my primary backup utility, I would not use this a 32 gigabyte card. I want some more space, but I did this pretty much as as a demonstration of how it could work. And I think that other hard drive that I showed you is an 80. Again, I was just using that, and I have a 500 gigabyte external that I'm using for some of the other types of backups.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Does this allow you to do a system restore on the fly, or do you have to reinstall and then select that as a source to restore from? How does it work?
Okay, let's bring it up. Okay, is it going to give me? No, it's not going to give me the details. The idea is, because it's getting your system, you're supposed to be able to restore it. And I guess you can restore it from the live boot and then run it. I don't know. Have you played with this, Tim? Have you done any restorations with Timeshift?
Only a tiny bit, and I didn't get into a restoration situation as yet. But my opinion of the utility is you have a time machine on Mac, and you have your on Windows the restore points.
Yeah.
They're all basically doing kind of the same concept.
I think you're right. And what I did is I let the wizard sort of walk me through the first one. So I just clicked wizard, and you want to use rsync because this is essentially what it's using in the terminal. And this is 90% of what the installations will be. BTRF runs on my Synology workstation, and I haven't looked to see what they're actually doing with it. You choose your destination, and you can see I do have an external hard drive on here that I could be using, except it's not ext4. So I could not use that. But here's the 32 gig, and this is what I used.
When you formatted that, Mike, does it give you the option to format as BTRFS?
I don't think so. I don't, because when I looked at it in the drop-down menu, I had some different ext versions,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't believe I could format as BTRF. That's good question.
It's my understanding that the BTRFS has the it has this built in to the way it works. It has the ability to do these snapshots within at a lower level than just doing it through this tool.
Hmm. Well, what you are doing is this is setting up a script which will execute commands. Well, I guess BTRF can you execute that on the terminal like you can rsync? I don't think so. I don't know. I know you can use DD. We talked about that a little bit on yesterday, but DD is a terminal command for doing some backups at the terminal, and it's a bit over my head. There's so many options I didn't even want to try it.
Well, so think of the BTRFS as a more modern version of a file or of a disk formatting. The ext4 is an older style. There's also ZFS. So ZFS and BTRFS have the ability to do the versioning or the snapshots at a lower level on the drive itself. It's formatted
just for kicks. Let's take a quick look. I'm not going to do it, but let's go to disks.
And your internal hard drive is ext4 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
About all system devices, MBR. So I'm not even being given an option at this point to format it with, okay, it wants partitioning first. Okay. Let me say no partitioning at the moment, just for kicks. Oh, then I have to say format. All right. So if I was ready to overwrite the SD card, I would get the drop down, which gave me the ext4 option. I don't recall the other options I had with it. And if I actually click on it itself, let's just look at it again. So here's a format option. Okay, so we can exFAT32, exFAT, and TFS and ext4.
Okay.
As defaults.
And you said you had there's another application on your computer that will also do formatting. They've got disks.
Disks will do it. GParted will do it, and right clicking and properties will do it. So if I go to GParted, let's just see if it includes that or not. Somebody just came in, John Spritzer. Okay, hopefully he's one of us. We'll let him come in and we'll say hi to him. Okay, so I'm going to go to GParted just to take a quick look. If I put it on, I'm pretty sure I put it on here unless I was going to install it. Yeah, I've got it. Okay, so let's look at 32. That's this guy. Okay. So if we go here, partition, device. Why is it not giving me formatted? Oh, it's grayed out. So probably I have to delete the partition before I format it. Let's see if I go up one level. No, that's it.
If you want to delete it, just right click on that orangish bar and say delete.
Yep.
Oh, hey, it's not letting you.
It's in use. Well, it's in use right now because I've got it
okay,
open
then
in the
it's
other.
mounted.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
mounted.
you have to
Yeah.
unmount it first.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're going to see in these other demos, if we get to them, that I learned the hard way that I couldn't even do some backups without unmounting, and even unmounting, it kept wanting to remount. And I was complaining to John Kennedy and he said, yeah, just boot from the live distro, run the same program and they won't be mounted. And then you'll be able to do what you want to do. So that's why I was playing around. I'm sitting here now with 1, 2, 3, 6 disks sitting in front of me, all eventually bootable for demo if I wish, if we get that far. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if I finished. Did I finish the wizard or is it? Where am I not able to move it? There we go. All right, so we were going through the wizard. All right, so we got to that. We got to that. We chose the disk. Chose this guy. Said next. Okay, so now here's where you choose what kind of snapshots do you want. So I kind of minimized it, but I'm saying, okay, I'm going to keep one, but technically speaking, if I got plenty of room on an external drive, I could keep every month as its own standalone snapshot. I just said, nah, if I'm doing these weekly, daily and boot, then really all I really want to do is month by month, long term. And same thing for the week. I'll keep 1 week's worth and 1 month's worth. Now daily, I'll keep 6 days until it comes up and makes the weekly. And then it'll start over again, dropping the oldest and putting the newest in. So that means if I've got something in a document, for example, that I changed, and I said, oops, no, I need a version from yesterday, I can at least go and get it and put it back. If it's really critical stuff you're doing, apparently you can do it for 24 hours a day, every hour. And at boot, each time the computer boots, it's making a snapshot automatically. So that's kind of nice if that's what you want. And you can apparently have emails, and I don't have it set up for that. So I just said, don't send me any emails on it. I don't particularly want that. I had it go ahead and back everything up from the root, which I thought would be inclusive of the home. And that's something I haven't yet figured out whether I'm double covering myself, because I would think if I start with root and I start with the root folder, then it's going to snapshot everything below it. But I said, well, let me just go ahead and also do it for the user, which is the Computer Society.
Well, the
So-
root, Mike, is a folder, I think. /root is a folder.
But isn't home underneath /root
No.
for each
home is-
user? No, it would be root and then
/home
user.
The real root is just a /.
Ah,
And, the other guy is correct that you're doing just a folder there.
okay. All right, well then I'm getting the root folders and then I'm getting the user folders.
Can you add another one here?
Yeah, let me let's see here. I got a plus. Let's click to edit, drag and drop. Where do I add?
This is just home directories, I guess.
User, oh, it's user home directories. Okay, and there's only, okay, those are the two users that are here. Okay, so I can either select it or not select it. Yeah, all right, that's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is. All right. So let's see what next gives us. All right. Well, that says I'm complete.
So is it, so this is the setup wizard for,
Time shift.
for Timeshift?
Mm-hmm.
Is Timeshift actually doing anything with the operating system? Or just your home folders?
Well, I thought it was, but apparently if it's not getting, if it's only getting the users, let's,
Can you go back to the current configuration instead of the wizard and see
Yeah.
what it's actually backing up? So yeah, there's users, and then what's the other filters and miss? Okay, and then what's under miscellaneous? It looks to me like it's just, and I guess you could browse
it's
the
data. It's just data. So to answer your question asked about 10 minutes ago, this does not look like it's a cold iron restore kind of program. This is just getting user data.
Okay. Is it can you go to the actual folder or the
Yep.
the
Yeah.
SD card?
Yep.
And on the SD card, is it a flat system where you can actually browse the what it's backed up?
Okay, so here's the snapshot it got at boot.
Uh-huh.
Got the local host. Well, see, it's getting bin, boot, dev, etc. See, that's why I thought it was getting
Yeah, it looks like it is.
all of this. Okay.
Where's homes? Or home?
Well, if we go, let's see, user.
No, that's USR.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, let's look at what happened at the daily snapshot. And let's see what it picked up.
Okay, a local host. There's home. So under home, you should see, yep, there it is. Great. So it looks like it's back. It looks like it's actually backing. It doesn't even give you the option. It backs up the drive.
Yeah.
It lets you optionally back up user home folders or not back them up.
Yeah.
Right. That's what the wizard was doing. It was giving you the option to not back up certain ones.
Yeah.
Cool. This is a cool thing, and I like that you can just browse it.
And see
you're
it.
just in the file explorer here.
Yep. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mac and Reflect. And at least in Windows with Mac and Reflect, you can mount its entire backup as a drive letter and then browse that and pull stuff out. Now, I don't know how it would be with backing up a Linux computer, but at least it will have an image.
Well,
And-
you're doing it right now. You're browsing the backups right now. You could take one of these files and copy it to your desktop if
Yes.
you wanted to,
Yes.
or a whole folder.
Yeah, as of 8/11 at 6:50 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I would imagine that it's only backing up the things that are changing, like between the dailies and the weeklies and so forth. Otherwise, I mean, do you know how much data your operating system and how much data is being used on your internal drive right now?
Okay, let's look at that. So
I guess it'd be under.
disk, that would be under disk, I
Well, this
believe.
computer on your desktop, is that if you right click on that, does it give properties on the desktop? On the desktop? Yeah. Properties.
No,
I guess-
it's not the same thing. No,
It's not
what you would normally do is if you go to disks, disk usage analyzer.
Ah, okay.
So you can see I'm using 19 gigabytes or something in that neighborhood, 15 or 69, 19 gigabytes.
19 gigs.
I mean,
So and your SD card is using about what did it say? Like 25 out of 32 or something like
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So there's
So-
probably things that are on there that you've deleted that you could restore if you wanted to, as you're going through this.
Yep. So you can see this will give you a graphical representation of what's in use. And if you wanted to see it a different display, it gives it to you
Wow.
this way.
Is that built
Yeah.
in? What is that?
Yes,
What is
that's built in disk usage. You can see most of my storage is in downloads because I've got a
it
whole
is.
bunch of things to
Wow,
install.
that's a cool find right there. That's neat.
There's stuff that Timeshift is using. And here, let's see what Root's. Yeah, Root's not going to show. Oh, well, I didn't get into this with the admin permission. So yeah, I can't. I'd have to go in with admin permission.
Something to for everybody to take heed. Your backup tool is only as good as your restore.
Yep.
So you should always do a test on restoring your data to know that it's working.
John Spitzeri, did I pronounce that correctly? If you want to unmute and say hi. You joining us for the first time?
Hello,
Welcome,
Spizzeri.
Spitzeri. Okay, good. So what we're doing tonight essentially is talking about maintaining your Linux installation. This is our third meeting, and we started setting up the computer that I've been sharing the screen on. And we're about 25% into this. It just gives you an idea of what we've accomplished so far until you joined us. Right now, we're talking about backup programs. Okay, I'm going back to share my screen. Okay, so we talked about Timeshift. So I personally prefer live images going all the way back into the 90s. I was always making, whoops, need to mute, guys, if you've got noise. So, and I use Mac and Reflect in Windows. And I said, if it'll work in Windows, and if I can boot from the recovery disk, which has a version of Mac Reflect on it, it should back up anything, and it did. So I can show you what it did. And but one of the features of disks is that it does have the ability to do an image backup. So first, I'm going to show you what it looks like right from the distro itself. We had taken a little bit of a look at it. So we'll stop share there. We'll start share here. And we'll go back to disks. Okay, so here is the main drive on this Lenovo computer, 128 gigabyte SSD. And here's that SD card. It does have a CDD reader on it. Nothing's in it. And then here's our external hard drive. and is it going to show me what's in use? Yeah. So I'm about half, about half full, and I will take a look at what's on there here in a minute. Built into it, however, is the ability to create a disk image, similar to what Mac and Reflect does, to actually make an image. So you got to tell it what the source is. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Excuse me. I want to image this guy. Okay. And I want to tell it to save it to the external hard drive. Now I'm going to tell it to start creating, but you're going to see it's going to tell you here with an error. Yeah. And it wants to unmount the Samsung. Now it would not unmount it when I tried it from here, but let's just take a look. Let's see if it unmounts it. Make a liar out of me and save me from having to boot. There we go. Okay. So it does not want to unmount it. I tried a whole bunch of different things and it wouldn't unmount it. And I tried rebooting and plugging it in, but not viewing it. No, wouldn't unmount it. So we're going to try our first. Well, before I do that, I'll show you what the results were, and then I'll show you how I got to it. So let's go ahead and take a look at that Samsung. Okay, and this guy, here we go. Okay, so it basically made a clone. It made a disk image, but it made a clone of it because you can see the size is 128. So it took up 128 gigabytes of storage, where Macro Reflect will do some disk compression and not back up unused sectors. So this particular image, I made it so I could see that it can do it, but it looked to me like this was really cloned instead of imaged into, an image file, but it's there. Let's see if it even says, yeah, it gave it an IMG file extension. So we're going to go ahead and do the first trial of sharing from my, let's see what we got here. I think it is, yeah, cell is not active. So we'll turn the video on the cell and we'll go to video. See if it's going to show up. Yeah, it's showing up. Looks like it got a little off. We'll get it full screen here in a minute. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to minimize. I'm actually going to leave the meeting. So we're now looking at this screen, which I think I can, let's go to that and say spotlight. So you all should now see that screen. Just answer later for this. And it looks like I lost my zoom on this, so I'm going to have to try to zoom it up a bit. There we go. And I lost my. Okay. Okay, so I am going to take my data traveler. Is the light going to be there? Yeah, it says Mint upside down. Anyway, we're going to boot this guy up. Okay, so we'll shut her down. Now on this particular computer, one of the really nice things about it, and we discussed a little of this yesterday too, is every notebook has usually a different function key to get to your boot manager and choose how you want to boot it, including setting the BIOS for the order. This Lenovo, without, I think I can just get over here with it. The light's sort of shining on it. you can sort of see. You can't really make it out, but there's two buttons for the power. One's a tiny little button. I'm going to press that tiny little button. And it brings me into a menu automatically, which is really nice to have. I can go into the BIOS and set it up. I can system recover, which I don't want to do. And I can go into the boot menu, which I love. Okay. And from this boot option menu, the top one, which I guess highlights hard to see, but it says USB disk 2.0. That's the floppy disk that I put in. And it even supports EFI on it because the settings of the BIOS did not turn off all those special settings when I removed Windows from it. But I had no problems installing, so I just left it there. So I can use either one of these. And as I recall, I used this one. And you can see, boom, there it is. There's the start menu, just asking me to pick the cinnamon, and we will launch into the distro, the live distro of Mint. Famous last words. There you go. And my comment, Tim, was that this version was made with the Rufus setting for the image in the DD settings. When I had it set for ISO, it just would not. I couldn't even get that first menu. But anyway, it's there. Note, it told me I had a Wi-Fi available. So for those that are setting us up on a computer, and all you got to do is go find the Wi-Fi and give it the, let's see. And I'm in. And were I to go install Linux Mint at this point, it keeps that setting. And it knew it when I did the install. But we're not here to do the install, but at least we're there. And it is, in fact, seeing the signature mini. So there, it's sitting up there. And you'd think, well, okay, it must be mounted. I don't know. But if I go ahead and go to disks from here, unless I just shot myself in the foot. And we are on that and tell it, make me an image. And 128, save it to the mini. And it doesn't give me any choices or settings or compression or anything like that. It's just rudimentary. Give me an image. So I'll tell it to start. I'll probably stop it. And connected to another port, I have that external. I got all kinds of USB ports on this notebook. It's old enough that it doesn't, the newer ones are usually just coming with one USB 3 and one USB-C, and then they want you to use a, in fact, let me grab it here if I still see it. Yeah, I've got it. Another little gadget, which is a hub. So if you can see it when you look at my image, this is a little USB-C hub, and it's got, where are we here? Yeah, it's got 3 or 4. Let's see, it's got 3 USB 3s on there and an HDMI and an Ethernet on the end. But, all right, let's tell it to start creating. I'll stop it, but let's see if it does it this time. Yep, there it goes. So these are tiny, tiny little letters, I know, but you can probably see them scrolling on your screen, and you can see the bar is starting to do its thing. So I'm not going to let this finish. I'm just going to stop it. I probably wiped out the other one, or maybe I just canceled. But to get disks working, I had to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing with Macro and Reflect. As soon as I find the famous last words, let's hope this thing boots up. Take the other one out. Put this one in. Shut it down. That's nice. Yeah, it wants the old one to do its thing. I'm just going to do what you shouldn't do. I'm just going to hit power off. Okay, famous last words. Okay, now I'm going to press that nice little button. And this is Alexar. I'll continue using the EFI. The disk I'm booting from is from the paid version of Macro and Reflect. It has a lot more capabilities in terms of, especially in terms of restoring and resizing. But I did try it with the free version because I wanted to make sure the free could at least access it and make a backup and do a basic recovery. And it does. So they have not crippled their free version for just imaging a computer.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
What's this booting into? Is this Linux or is this Windows?
It's booting into a Windows PE.
Yeah, but okay, it's Windows PE. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mhm.
They used to, Macro and Reflect 6 and earlier, I believe, or 5 and earlier, they used to all be Linux distros. And then they started using Windows PE.
Oh, okay. Hey, that's why I thought it was Linux. Okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I would prefer if it was Linux, but this seems to be reasonably fast. So we'll see how long it takes here to load everything. There we go. Okay, so I'm now in a screen that will let me back up the computer, restore the computer. And let's just see, for restore, I should be able to, oh, and I should even be able to explore an image and pull stuff out, but I don't want to. So let's see why I'm not seeing, oh, I want an image restore, browse for an image file. That's what I want to do. Okay, so let's see what's on the Signature Mini, which it mounted as C drive. That's interesting. Aha. Well, there we go. Okay. So I've used this Dell Latitude as my own computer, and it's a dual boot. So I wanted to catch everything that was on the hard drive. So that's essentially, I've got it from when I first created it in factory condition, and then after I set the dual boot up. But this computer is a Lenovo. So on the 1st of August, I was able to make an image, and it's only 9.2 gigabytes in size. So that's, you know, it's using compression, plus that's basically taking about half, it's about half the size of what's on there. And if I wanted to, I could now restore this on cold iron. I could just tell it okay, and then restore it. And if I had a brand new SSD that I was putting in instead of a hard drive or whatever, just put it in and say restore it and be back up and operating in whatever my Linux configuration was. And I can likewise, I can make one now if I started, and it would tell me here's actually what my 128 looks like. And yes, I did not partition it. I'm sorry, Tim. It's all in one place, but it's there. Okay, and I can go ahead and choose to back these two partitions up. I can clone it, which apparently is what disks is doing when it says make an image. But if I say image it, and let's tell it not, oh yeah, don't do that guy. Okay, just this guy. All right. So I want to image the disk. And where do I want to put it? I'll put it there. Where do I want to put it on there? I'm just on the root. And I don't like to use their image name, so I would tell it Lenovo so-and-so, so-and-so. And then very important, and I don't know why this isn't there as an automatic, but you always want to verify your system. Well, what are we doing? Yeah, verify it.
One, next
Yeah.
one up.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Yep, verify the image. Always verify the image. You don't want to come home to a dead computer because of a lightning surge and go get your backup and boot into it and find that it's corrupted. In that case, of course, you've got a backup in more than one location, including maybe one sitting in your safety deposit box at the bank. I try to do that about once every 90 days, but I'm not good about following up on that plan. So any questions about Mac and Reflect before I move on to the next one? Okay, I'm going to switch. Let's see, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm just showing that image. So I can share I can stop the focus, remove spotlight. And then I can share my screen and go to the next guy. Okay, so yet again, another image backup, yet again, another bootable drive. And this one in the community seems to be the one that's most favored. Clonezilla can be used for everything from a home computer to major network setups, including backing up RAID arrays, and I assume maybe even back up a Synology file server. I don't know. And when I first researched it from their website, oh, I just got a weather update. Okay. I found it was designed literally to use Clonezilla from the command line. However, if you get the live distro, it has a same front end on it, very much like Timeshift does. And that front end will go through on a script and prompt you for things on how to back it up and how to make an image. And when we take a look at the Signature Mini, I've got a Clonezilla backup. So let's see what we got. Okay, so this particular blog spot gives you step by step if you like to do that. I'm just going to take another quick look. I'm going to exit out of this guy, cancel it. And I'm just going to power off. And we'll boot from Clonezilla. Rufus made a very nice Clonezilla disk, by the way. Don't keep dropping them on the floor. And let's see, I need to spotlight me again. Okay. Little button. Let's try that. There we go. This one takes a little bit longer to load. And I'm not sure what the underlying distro is that it's sitting on. But it will come up. Famous last words. Here we go. It does take advantage of multi-threaded, multi-core processors too. Okay. Wants to know if I'm English. Wants the same keyboard layout. Start Clonezilla. Work with disk or partitions. Now I can do a complete clone as disks did by going down to this one. Okay, but I want to work with this the same way as Mac and Reflect does. So I want to have image files. So I use that. And sign where the image will be saved. Okay, so we're going to save local disk hard drive, USB drive. Yep, that's what we want. But notice, Sean, that we could put it onto a server. So that's kind of nice if you got the specifications and if the network connects to it.
Cool.
Okay, if you want to use a USB device as image repository, please insert it now. So if I didn't have it in, it's in a mode now of discovery, but it's already been in here and it's there. So I'm just going to hit enter. And let's see. You can insert storage device now. I did that, right? And so on and so forth. Hit Control C. Okay. Scanning partitions, getting information on the hard drives. And it says we need to mount a device for Clonezilla image repository. So we want the external. And make sure I got, no, we want this guy. We want, there we go. We want Signature Mini. Okay. And I don't want to check and repair. And where do I want to put it? Okay. The one thing I forgot to do on the Signature Mini was to put a folder for the destination. I thought this would go ahead and do it. So I had actually put a folder for pictures on here. So I figured, all right, what the heck? I will just go ahead and choose that folder and then I'll just move it into the root after when I'm done. So it'll be in my pictures folder. I'm not gonna worry about that. And then where do you want it? In the parent directory. So I think that's actually going to move it up anyway for me. So let's see. Okay, And I thought I had just done it. It will not be shown. You should use directory tag, but just for you to know the image list, current directory, path on the resource. Current selected, oh, the current selected directory name is root. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, so then I should just have, I'll just go down to done. Yes, yeah, I'm done because it's gonna, the current selected directory name is root. And this apparently I could pick other things if I wanted to. Now, I do see, oh, exit directory browsing is just, okay, so that's done. Okay. Okay, so now let's see. Now we're down here and it's saying source and enter to continue. All right. Choose the mode to run the following wizard without advanced parameters. Beginner, definitely a beginner. Okay. Soft, no warranty. It'll overwrite the data when you're restoring. Okay. Save local disk as an image. That's what I want to do. So enter. And input a name and so on and so forth. So at this point, once I say okay, it'll start making the backup. And I think you saw it earlier, but when I go back into Linux, you'll see that the Clonezilla image is on the hard drive. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to abort this right in the middle of the process. Just shut it off. I could have canceled and gone through exit menus and all the rest of that. And then I think, let me just take a very quick look and see if I need to do anything else from bootable. No, I don't have to do anything else from bootable stuff. So I'm just going to bring this guy back up and bring him into the conference again. While I'm waiting for this, any comments on the Timeshift or the image backups? Questions?
Mike, is there any compression with Clonezilla?
I believe so. We'll take a quick look at the size of that file. I'm pretty sure we'll take a look at it and see what it's doing.
Okay.
I just need to get it back into the conference here. And join. And do not.
On their webpage, it says that Clonezilla has a lot of options for compression.
Good.
Good. Mhm.
Okay. And let's let me in, let me in, let me in. Okay, we got a barber shop mirror there. And let's see. If am I sharing anything at the moment? No, or I'm just going to share. It looks like I've got the microphone on that. Hang on. The Mic should not be on. Okay. Forgot, I've got to give myself permission again. Okay. Okay, so we're sharing the screen. I hate those black things. And the question is there any compression? So let's take a look at what it actually did. So there's the signature. Here's the Clonezilla. And this was done on Monday, 28 items. So it's breaking it up into stuff. Is it telling me the size? No, oh, there it is. Size is just 28 items. Okay. So I need to, let me see if it's going to tell me. $8.6 gigabytes.
Okay,
So that's a pretty good compression. It's a little better than Mac and Reflect was going to do.
okay.
Is that a writable image or is that read only?
In what way? You mean load it, make a change, and put it back?
Yeah, it is. Does Clonezilla have the option to back up the changes, that kind of thing?
Well, let's see what. Oh yeah. Well, I see what you're saying. Yes, I'm pretty sure. In what we went through, I didn't go through maybe some of the other options that were there, like do you only want to get changes, that kind of thing. But I think if you actually use it as a command line utility and don't use the wizard like I was, I think you can specify, not only can you specify compression, but I think you can also specify changed files. But
Okay.
let's see if this is writable. Permissions. Yeah, it's got read and write to the file itself, but will Clonezilla do it?
That's okay. I can look it up. I just thought you might
Yeah.
know off the top.
Yep. No, I don't do this to be an expert. I do this to expose you to it. and report back at the next SIG.
Yeah.
As if we didn't have enough in our lives going on right now.
Mike,
Yes, go ahead.
offhand, since you are in Linux Mint, there is a backup tool in there with two options. And one of them is just to back up your home directory. I'm assuming it'll work with either a single partition installation or a broken up partition type of installation. And then you also have the system backup. How good it is, I don't know. I haven't
All right,
investigated.
so
yet.
what are their names? What did I miss?
Go to all applications and backup tools.
Backup, right.
Yeah, backup tool.
How? I mean, there it is staring me in my face when I was, and I didn't even look to do it. Okay, wonderful. So here
You
is,
got personal data and your
Yeah.
software.
all right, well, let's just do that because I don't have a lot of personal data. Let's see what it decides to do. Let's save it in, oops, I was just there. Let's see, this is ext4. So let's just do it. And can I create a folder while I'm here? Not gonna let me create a folder. So I don't really want it in Timeshift, so. Let's see what happens if I put it in Signature Mini. I just put it there. Maybe it'll set it in the root. Add files or directories. So documents. Okay. Hidden files and folders. No. Apply. Calculating. Backing up. See if it gives us a little bit of time. So I have a tool called Smart Sync Pro on the Windows side, and it will back up my, by my files, and it will also check for the archive bit being set in the operating system. And then I can just say, sync it to the destination hard drive if it's new stuff, and it's worked pretty well. Now this looks like it's running something like WinZip, only it's running a compression tool, and it's going through. Looks like actually this is going to be busy, so this is actually going through all the stuff that I've installed as well.
They'll
And
go through all the stuff that's in your downloads folder too.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of ISOs there. This
Oh,
can
yeah.
take
Yeah, all right, let's see if what happens if I destroy this by saying stop. Yep, okay, it stopped. Okay, and the other would be software, I guess. And let's look at that. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Oh, software.
menu.
Yep.
Yeah.
Software, list of applications installed. Please select the applications you want to save. Okay, long ago in Windows, you used to be able to do that. Norton had an application called Clean Sweep, and when you chose to sweep things off your computer, it would ask if you wanted to make a backup, and if you said yes, it would go get the software with all of the INI files as you had them configured and any registry settings, and it would then put it into an archive. And when Norton was acquired by Symantec, they dropped it because they said people were pirating software that way. So this is interesting, since most of this is open source stuff. It's basically getting your programs and I guess any settings that you may actually have. Anything that you've done for it, I assume. Complete list of all packages, use the command, depackage, get selections to my list in a terminal. Okay. And then off it will go. All right, very good. Thank you, Tim.
There's another one in there.
Okay.
If you want to look at it.
Sure.
Called Redshift.
Really? Okay, see? Redshift. I had no idea what that was. Okay.
That reduces your blue settings during the evening hours, so it doesn't disturb your sleep.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me that was another backup program.
No,
Okay.
but it's another little nugget.
And little nugget, yeah. Well, it's not doing anything at the moment. Maybe I didn't select it. Let's try again.
It's a program you can set it up so that it runs automatically at startup, which I have it, and it's just to help reduce the blue to a reddish color.
I see a little change. Yeah, I see a little change going on in the, it may not be coming across on the screen. My screen is fluctuating as if it's trying to do something, but it's not doesn't want to It may be because I'm screen sharing, it's not going to let me do it. And I don't know if I can stop it at this point. Yeah, it looks like I may have to back. Let's see if I stop share. And then what's it doing? And then I'll go down here and let's see. It's definitely playing with the screen. It's getting lighter, darker, flickering. I think I'm just going to reboot. Oh, then I got to get back in here and reshare and all that, don't I? Is there something like the task manager in Linux where you can stop a process?
Kill all.
Sure.
If I do kill all, then it'll stop Zoom too. I just
Yeah,
wanna-
it'll stop everything. You got
I
to
just-
know the exact process that you want to kill.
I want to
You-
kill Redshift.
You want to go into your system monitor.
Okay,
System monitor should have all your processes.
system monitor. And let's see, devices, processes. And let's see if there's a Redshift running. Redshift is running, yeah. Okay, so if I choose it, let's see if I can end process. Yes, end process. Ah, okay, now the screen's nice and, no, it's still messing up. Let me see. Stop. Stop process. Stop. Stop process. Let's see if I do say kill. Kill process. Ah, that did it. And one more. And kill. I like this one. It says kill it. Now my screen is still got a little red shift in it, but I'm done and it's not open. So I can now go back and share my screen, I think. So let's try that. Okay, I don't know if you noticed the color and I'm looking at my other monitor and it looks a little greener to me than blue. Okay, let's go back to, let's stop share a second. And let's go to the other one. Where are we? We're going on to 9. You guys let me know. I can keep going another hour if you wish, but, or another half hour, you know, once I want about 10 minutes when we stop presenting, just to go over a few things. So anytime it's getting boring or wearing you out, just let me know.
I'm gonna probably sneak out in a few minutes. It'll be dinner time in California.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Don't
it's
blame me.
only, it's not even 8 o'clock here.
Well, I can't help it.
All right, so we talked about backing up Linux. So now keeping update. Some of this is going to be very basic for some of you and others. It may be the first time that you're looking at it, but there's some good stuff here in updating what you've got. So let's just see if I continue this on the next screen or not. Yeah, okay. So we can probably go through this pretty quickly. All right, so let's stop sharing. And go over to this guy again. Okay. So we noticed when I first turned the computer on that down here I have an alert that says 6 updates are available. So this is coming from the software manager. And the software manager, if I click on it, is going to tell me or not software manager, the update manager, excuse me. It's going to tell me what is available to be updated. Much of what's here, I probably have no idea what it is. I do know that SSH has to do with the ability to control a remote machine. And Sean actually showed me how this was used when we accessed the Synology from one of our other computers. Secure sockets layer, I know that has to do with how encryption is used inside of the web to communicate. I'm using Brave browser on here as one of the primary browsers, so it's got an update. And I've installed but not activated Proton VPN because we've had some Proton VPN problems with Linux Mint. And I just didn't want to have that same problem, but at least there's some updates. So if you wish, you can just say install updates and off it goes. Now, this is one case where I do like to use the terminal because it's quick and I can watch the process. And then if I wish, I can come back to the update manager and see if anything's left. So I'm going to open up the terminal. And now this is something that nobody's explained to me yet. There's two forms of the command apt. Okay, so the one that I just normally type is the super user, because I'm going to do something requiring root access, and then apt for apps. And then I'm going to say update. And this is going to give me a list of all the repositories that are out there that are keeping track of what the updates may be. So I'll do that. It's going to ask for a password. And then it's just going to go looking for all the repositories and sources of software that I have on this computer yet. And it does say packages can be upgraded. Well, we know that because we got the notification. Now I'm going to use a different form of the command.
Mike,
Yep, go ahead.
there's a little bit simpler than what you're doing right now.
Okay. Okay, before I execute it, tell me.
If you use the arrow keys and up arrow, it brings back from the bottom up your commands that you've previously keyed in. And then you can use the left and right arrow keys to position it and or use the backspace key.
Okay, well, let's do this then. This is the other form of the command that I just used. It'll come back saying everything's updated.
Right.
And I haven't understood why it's in with a dash or a space, it still is the same command. And nobody,
I haven't understood that myself. It's just a case where things are evolving. It used to be you had to do sudo apt -get space update.
apt get, that's it. All right, you're right.
That's the way it used to work.
Yeah, no, you're right. I left that out.
So after your dash, you get the word get and then a space.
Apt get. Right?
Yeah, GET.
Yep, and then update. Yep, you're right.
Yeah, and that's the old style of doing it. They drop the dash get, and it does exactly the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, I dropped it anyway because I just, it's less to type.
Right, and you can take either of those commands with the up arrow, and you can do the backspace 4 times and change the last word.
Well, being a touch, now it's good because I'm using one hand, I'm reaching around my camera, and I got 2 keyboards in front of me. But normally, when I'm sitting at my desktop and I'm a touch typist, I just think it and type it. But let's just do apt upgrade and let it see.
Misspelled.
Misspell.
Typo.
Uprage, yeah.
Might have that too. No, you got UG.
Yeah,
So
you're
you're
right.
missing the P. And as far as the dual keyboards and mice, I had that last night.
I know. My vision was of an organ player, you know, with his 5 rows of keys and his
Wow.
feet and his feet. I don't have to step on anything. All right. So now it's going to tell you how much it's going to actually add, which it's fine. I got plenty of room. Okay. Now I'm going to keep my eye, because I'm not broadcasting where my fingers are. I'm going to keep my eye down here on the alert that's still telling me I've got upgrades available. And if you watch that little dot, it'll probably go away when this is finished. So let's see if that happens. So you can take your choice of the graphic update manager and it'll just do it. Or you can come to the terminal and use those 2 commands. And sometimes there's a little more involved. It's got to unpack what comes in and then it's got to execute what's in the pack. So if you're sitting at a graphic screen wondering what's going on, at least you know that it's updating. Okay, and it's done. And aha, my alert is still there. Oh, it's interesting. So, refresh it. Yep. Okay, I thought it was going to do it in real time. I think we're done. And I think that refresh is kind of like the apt update command. Yeah. So it's done and this guy's done. Okay, one more thing that normally wouldn't be considered updating or upgrading, but in the software manager, the repositories themselves can be updated. And this is done over here. And you can refresh the list of packages. So you may actually wind up, it's actually generating a cache, which will stay on your computer. And when you go searching for something, you'll have the latest. And when I started this, I mentioned to you that in the live boot of Linux Mint, I could not find Zoom. Now, this is the installed version. And I think it's here, if I remember correctly. So yep, there it is. So in between the time of installing Mint 64 from the latest downloaded distro and booting it, connecting to the internet and trying to install Zoom this way, and a mature package that's been installed for about 3.5 months now. Somewhere in there during the updates, Zoom got added to the repositories that this goes and looks for. So that's nice. Okay, stop share. Start share again. Okay, questions about staying updated? The update manager? The 2 commands we use, sudo apt update, sudo apt upgrade, and or refreshing the software manager. Okay. It is 9 o'clock. I am getting a little foggy myself. And there's a few other things that will probably take half hour, 45 minutes. And my throat needs a drink and I need to run to the restroom in a bit. So I think I'm going to call it at 2 hours. And instead, I'm going to jump down to resources and cover those real quick. APCUG is having a special Learning Linux, oh, excuse me, that's the next one. APCUG on its Wednesday workshops, which included security, data backup, and recovery. It was about a 2.5-hour workshop. And John Kennedy's portion on data backup, which includes a number of backup programs that we didn't cover tonight, including the ones that are in Linux Mint itself. And I don't believe he covered Clonezilla either. So there's more stuff to investigate. Anyway, they're always good if you want to watch the whole thing. Just take this YouTube link and take out anything after the question mark. You get it right from the start. If you want to go right to the backup, take this link, which is about 40 minutes into it. And you'll go to John starting to talk about data backup and programs. So it's very well done. Couple of weeks from now, August 25th, this is a Wednesday workshop, but not in the normal Linux team series. And they're going to review everything that they've covered to date, important points to date, and those that are just starting with Linux and really haven't kept up with what they've done. They're going to talk about some new things. They want to keep it as simple as possible, but if you're also looking for clarification of things that you picked up either here with the Chicago group or any of the other groups, just take a look at this link to register for that workshop. And you have to register before 11:30 p.m. on August 24th to attend. Online, I have gone to a couple of interesting sites. One has some Linux Mint utilities, which are pretty good. It's just 5 utilities. It's a suggestion to take a look at. And this one, Donna Armitage suggested, and this is a very comprehensive one. Let's see if I can open it from the link here. I think I have to click open. Maybe I have to be in the present. Let's see, click open, yeah. Let's see if it opens. There we go. Okay, I'll have to bring it over. So this is a blog that they say 10 things to do first in Linux Mint 20.2. And he's got them divided up into essential ones, recommended ones, and those that may be useful. I have not investigated this fully, but one of the items I got was a command down here in the terminal somewhere, wherever it is, that I thought was pretty good. Yeah, oh, it's right here at the beginning. So if you would like to see what's going on your computer, try the INXI command without the switch. This is one of about 20 or 30 different switches you can get. And you're going to get a ton of information. And if you want to know what this command can actually do, there's a command in the terminal called manual. It's abbreviated MAN. And if you say MAN space INXI, you get a very comprehensive manual of all the information that you can pull out about your system, your network, your distribution, your settings, lots and lots of stuff. It even has a command to get the current weather. So not that you can't get the weather from somewhere else. Anyway, looks very interesting. And I will probably look at this between now and the next time we meet just to see what else I can pick up from it. All right, let me close this. Okay, I still, for those of you that aren't familiar with MeWe, the problems with Facebook, whether trying to stay neutral as far as partisanship is concerned, their privacy problems they've had, being fined by governments worldwide about data sharing, which they just kind of look at as a cost of doing business. I just said, in December, I'm done with Facebook and I want something that can be as neutral as possible. And I found the MeWe site. And on the MeWe site, I found a Linux group, which I thought was pretty good. I'm just going to take a very quick look just to show you what it looks like. Except I kind of click on it in the right place. Okay, I think I have to be in it. And then, yeah, control click. Yeah, that did it. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the basic screen of MeWe. I did a presentation for APCUG on it. It's in their YouTube channel on their Wednesday workshops, and it was one of their hour-long segments on it. And we covered all the capabilities of MeWe. The basic MeWe is free. I am a paid member, but anyway, this Linux group is very good, and it's got a timeline. It is a public group, but they want you to post something that they'll approve, and from then on you're in. If you're interested in anything in particular, many of the posts are hashtagged, and you can go down through this, and just every day there's something new to look at and get, tips and techniques. I mentioned our special interest group, and I'd already talked about INXI. So here's a screenshot of what that INXI manual looks like. And I posted it for them so they could take a look at it and see what's there. It's not the whole manual, but just a quick. And somebody else came back in and said how great a tool it is. So it's a place to hang out, get good posts, to put your own tips and techniques in, and to get information back. So that's just a suggestion to check it out. If you're not on MeWe and you click that, you'll be offered an opportunity to open up a free account. And let's see what else I have here. I think it's just the final screen. So next month, we'll continue those things we missed. Right now, Sean and I are involved in a process of figuring out exactly how we can set up a peer-to-peer network between Linux, Windows, and/or Mac computers the proper way. And in that, of course, we're trying to make sure that it's communicating with our Synology disk stations properly. But I don't have much hair left, and I've been doing a lot of tearing out of hair. When I brought this up with John Kennedy, I'm mentioning your name again, John, if you're watching this video, he said, I don't even mess with that. He said, I just use online sharing services like Dropbox, Google Drive, Microsoft Drive, pCloud, which he really likes, and I've got installed and I'm playing with it. And to me, those are all sort of a kludge. You kind of want to open your file manager, as I'm about to do here. And then when you bring your file manager in, if this happens to be Windows, you just want to click on network, which will take a second to browse my network. And you want that to show you what's available. Now I've got a cell phone that's on my network. I've got another Linux computer that's on my network. I've got this Windows computer that's on the network, and I've got my file station that's on the network. I'll see my file station. There's my file station. There's a common folder on it that I am in fact using among the computers that can get to the file station. So here is these are this month's files. So I could sit in my chair in the living room, open up the presentation, edit it, save it back here, come back to my office, it's available. But I'd really like to see in this group of networks, I'd like to see my two Linux computers, and I still don't. So we're investigating. And I thought, if we have the solution by next month, in addition to talking about the stuff we left off, I kind of like to talk about sharing files. A little more boring, but we probably ought to know what file types we have to work with in Linux and what the structure is and where they're located. I'll skip down a minute. I've always wanted to run Windows programs on our Linux. Why? Well, for example, I use Quicken, and there is no real good Linux substitute. Lots of accounting programs, but nothing quite like Quicken that I can run under Linux. But maybe if I install Wine and then I use that to access Windows apps, maybe I can do that. So I will be investigating, and if we get that resolved, that would be a subject for a future one. And there's always the terminal, as Tim mentioned, and basic commands, so that just like the sudo update and upgrade, to me, those are basic commands that everybody ought to know. Maybe a few intermediate ones. And then for those of us that are bored with the basic and intermediate stuff, do we really want to get into advanced stuff? So that's kind of what's on my list. And if anybody has any suggestions now, I can add it to it. Or if you want to email me, you can do that. Or those of you that are in the Google group for this SIG, you can just send an email to CFCS Linux SIG at googlegroups.com with the proper dashes and underscores. And I will send the video out. You can just reply to that and make your suggestions if you like. And I'll take any comments that you'd like to make at this point.
Well, offhand, I don't know if it fits in with your peer-to-peer stuff, but going back quite a number of years, a tool that young kids got familiar with is still available. It's called VNC, Virtual Network Connection. You might want to look into that.
VNC. Okay.
Also, I'd like to see a section where everybody can share something if they, if you kind of go like a round robin.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I have been doing a lot of talking, a la the Windows SIG. So that's a good point. When we do our tech SIGs and the Apple SIG for that matter, it really isn't a presentation. It's everybody has something to say and to share. And we could certainly do an entire meeting where that's all we do is go around. Of course, the risk is that nobody's got anything to say, but hopefully there are others that are as verbose as I am. So I'm happy to take input. Thank you, Sean. Any other comments? Okay, ask your questions. Again, when I send this out, just reply, do a reply all, not just to me. If you reply all to our group emails, it goes out to the group. And we'll be doing this again next month. Thank you for your attendance.
Hey, thanks, Mike.